Hey everybody, we've got a slightly different video format going on today. We're going to be talking about the basic admin commands, how to be an admin, just what you need to know. It's going to be applicable to people who are just starting, or people who might have some background with the RPI engine, or maybe have played FutureMUD before. But as a change to the format of me doing a video where I show you something and just talk at you, we have Tulkas from FutureMUD joining us. So FutureMUD are one of the games that are using FutureMUD very close to opening. Uh, Tulkas, maybe you can introduce yourself and your MUD project.
G'day, I'm Togus. I'm with Artemard, mate. I've led a small team here from 2018. We've done a lot of work, and we're excited to announce the closed beta, which is due to open this month. So yeah, we're starting this project off. It is a Tolkien-inspired project in Osgiliath, and we're hoping sorry mate, just a shameless plug, but yeah, we're getting ahead to opening the doors for some players to come by and
I'm glad to
basically,
finally have somebody to plug using the
yeah,
engine at this level.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, so this is going to be a relatively informal video compared to the normal style. Not that I usually run with too much of a script, but we're both logged into the game, so you're going to see a little bit of Arda Mard as we run through things, and I'll try and get a mixture of me showing the commands from the admin side. Tulkas can enter the commands on his side. Obviously, we're capturing my output from the MUD, so you'll be able to see, admin side versus player side on some of the commands. That'll become relevant when we're talking about echoes and all that sort of stuff. So yes, so basically, as we begin, my character here is currently in mortal mode. This character is just an ordinary character, ordinary morbidly obese troll. It is actually an admin, but when you first make your character, or when somebody else first makes the character in the game, you will need to do a few commands. So fundamentally, the big important command that you need to know first of all is immortal. So if I type immortal, I will switch into admin mode, and if I want to switch back to player mode again, I just type mortal. So mortal, immortal. Why would you want to be in player mode? If you ever need to use a player version of a command that has an admin command, or you want to see what something looks like for a player without an admin perspective. So now that we're immortal, we should be able to see Tulkas, who was invisible to us before. So there we go. And you'll notice that you see a whole bunch of additional information about the room. So if I just quickly go into mortal mode and repeat the look command, you'll see I no longer see Tulkas, and I see the player version of the room output. So just keep that one in mind. Nice and simple. Immortal is also what allows you to see things that are invisible. When you're in immortal mode, it bypasses all checks and that kind of stuff about what you can see, what you can hear, etc. So that's an important one. Um, Another important one for admins is invisibility. So we see that Tulkas has just taken his invisibility off. So the command is just invis. It puts a effect on you called WizInvis. It's basically just an invisibility that players can't see through under any circumstances. So that's your main way to make your admin avatar, um, you know, not visible in the world. And Viz is how you would reveal yourself. There's relatively few circumstances where you would want to do that as an admin avatar, but you may have some reason why you want to do it if you're helping somebody out with something in a support context or something like that. NPCs can also use this command, but players can't. So you can use it to hide NPCs. Although we're connected to Arda, that's actually something I used a great deal in LabMud. So there's a whole bunch of WizInvis Roombas that uh, I attach AI stuff to. So, for instance, all of the automated doors in LabMUD are basically little invisible Roombas that open the door as door guards, and because they're invisible, you don't see any of their echoes or anything like that. So um, that's a neat trick. The third important one that you want to put on when you're an admin is imwalk. Again, it's a toggle. You can toggle it on and off. Imwalk means that you instantly move between rooms. You never fall. You can go wherever you want to. You can fly. You can do whatever you want to. Yeah, you can walk through doors. So most of the time as an admin, you'll want imwalk on. If I go, for instance, here, just like, you know, east and west, you'll notice that the movement was instant, whereas if I turned imwalk off, I'd be walking just like a player walks with a delay. There we go. So those are some of the basic commands. Um, do you have any other observations or questions, Tulkus, about that little set? Is there anything that you're remembering from previous games, or any questions you have about those?
No, it's all pretty similar to the RPI engine
Yep,
for that one.
and
So
this particular suite of commands is based on the RPI engine commands. So most of you who are from the RPI engine will be going, no shit at this point. There are a couple of other ones that you will usually put on. I won't dwell on them as much, but set telepathy is one. I just disabled it there, but set telepathy is what allows admins to see all of the thoughts and feels that players enter throughout the game. So I've got that on now. Tulkus, if you just want to use the think command and think something. So yeah, obviously we just saw that he thought testing. So whenever a player uses the think or feel command anywhere in the game, if you have set telepathy on, you will see it if you have set telepathy as an admin. So it's one of the ways that you sort of monitor what's going on. Yeah, there we see a feel. Thinks and feels, you'll see them. And they're a great tool. You would be surprised if you have not previously been an admin on an RPI engine how much RPI players use those, even when they're solo role playing. But I think players understand that admins are expected to be able to see those, and that they're hooks for you to get involved and talk to people. So that's an important one. Another one that you might consider putting on is set available. No, it's actually just available, I think. Yep, just available. What that does is it means that you appear in the who list when players type who is a player command, but down the bottom there, if there's admins that have available set, they will see that you're logged in. So it says that the staff are available. If you toggle it off and you type who, you don't appear in the list. So it depends on whether you want to appear anonymous or whether you want to be available and have people realize that you're there or not. When you are available, players can use the petition command to petition you directly. So Tulkus, I might get you to first of all use the petition all command and just petition all something. So petition is a player command for those of you who don't know or don't have an RPI background, that is basically just your way of contacting staff.
petition all.
Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. So that's what staff see when you petition all. All of the staff will see it, and although I can't actually show it from how I've got OBS capturing this, if your Discord bot is set up, that also gets echoed to the staff Discord channel. And if no admins are online for historical reasons, it posts the petition to a board called petitions. So next time a staff logs in, they will see that there was a petition while they're offline. Uh, you can also, if you're available, they can petition you directly. So that's sort of like a private message. So yep, now we see that Tulkas has sent a message, a direct petition. So in this case, only we would have seen this. It wouldn't be echoed to Discord. It wouldn't be echoed to the rest of the staff. So that's kind of like a player using a private tell. If you don't want them to be sending you stuff or somebody spamming you or whatever, you can turn available off and then they won't be able to send it. If you wanted to reply to the person, the admin command to do that is send. So you send Tulkas and then there's a message. And just for clarity, Tulkas, if you send one back to us, so that's what they'll see. You can use send whether you're available or not. If you're not available, it should show as someone. Just try that out for me if you don't mind. Go turn available off and then send us a message. No, it still says the name. I'm sure there's a way to make it anonymous. I can't remember what it is, but most of the time you're probably not going to want to be anonymous anyway. But yeah, that's some of the basic player communication. There is a couple of other ways of communicating. There's a command called broadcast, which sends a system message to the whole game. So I'm going to do a broadcast now. So the top bit just under the syntax I entered is what everybody sees, including you, because you're a player that's logged into the MUD. And yeah, the echo below that is just the command echoing that you did it. Broadcast also echoes to Discord, so all the player channel on Discord will have seen that system message. And you can also talk to admins. By default, there's a channel called WizNet. We're talking on WizNet. WizNet is kind of like a private channel that the other admins can see. And again, WizNet is also typically echoed to the admin channel on, or actually you can configure it to echo to Discord. And you can also interact with the WizNet channel from Discord. I will just do that now actually. So yeah, you saw I didn't enter any commands. I sent the bot something on Discord and we got some message. I think that's all of the main methods of direct communication. I wonder if I am forgetting anything. And actually, one of the ways that we can tell whether we're forgetting anything is the imcommands command. So as a player, you might have been familiar with the command commands that shows you all of the commands that you can do. There's a whole bunch of them, and they're organized by groups for players. For admins, you have imcommands, which is a smaller list and it's not quite as pretty, but it does tell you all of the commands only available to admins. I'm thinking that's probably all of the important communication commands. Maybe we'll run into one as we go through. I mentioned before petitions going on a board. In order to see those, there's the boards command. So boards, these three boards, deaths, petitions, and typos, are system-generated boards. All FutureMUD instances will have these three boards. You can set up additional boards that people can write to in-game. So if you are familiar with the RPI engine, that would have been things like a town messenger or a clan messenger or something like that, where people could leave little messages with them and later retrieve them. Those are mechanically behind the scene boards. In order to read the board, you go read, then the board name, and then the number of the post. Actually, maybe it's not read. Is it note read? Is it note read?
Board read.
That's the one.
Board number.
Yep. board read typos to. It's been a while since I've used this one. That's right. Board posts typos. All right. So there's some typos, and then we can read, and we'll read by the ID. So we'll say 202. Nope.
I think it's show, then the board name, and then the post number. No.
Ah, of course I'm putting posts at the front of it. Board read 202. Nope. Board view 202. Aha. That's right. Yeah, sorry.
We'll just edit this out and just be like, oh, that's the post. That's
No,
definitely it. Got it straight away.
Yeah, I wish. Look. Honestly, this engine has been in development for 13 years. It's been nearly 15 years since I've played on the RPI engine. Sometimes I can't remember the syntax for stuff I don't use very often. That's just, yeah. Well, I wish I was better at editing. But anyway, got it in the end. Board read is the player version of the command when they want to read a message board that's present in their location. I remember now. View is the admin version where you just want to look at stuff. So that's what it looks like. So if somebody petitioned and no admins are online, it makes a post to the petitions thing. If anybody dies, it posts to the deaths board so you can see how they died. Let's actually, I think Arda currently hasn't disabled NPC deaths being posted to this, so it's probably just going to be NPC deaths, but let's have a look.
Yeah, it is. It is predominantly NPC deaths there.
Yeah, you can change that to be just PC deaths, but there's maybe some valid reasons why you would want a PC death on there as well.
So, what is the syntax to view on a virtual board like that that's not in the room with you?
Board view, and then the ID number of the post. So board posts to see what posts there are, and then board view, and then the ID number of the post. So we're looking at the moment, just I forget that talkers can't see my screen. I'm looking at post 455, so board view 455. It's a post on the deaths board. You can see who it was. Akavua, possibly a testing character, possibly an NPC. I'm not sure. That's the player ID is 469. When it happened, from an out of character perspective, I don't know why it's unspecified from an in character perspective. It might be the case that it was before some code change or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, it tells you that the character died, the location that they died. At the time, they had 0% blood, so they died from blood loss. And it does also tell you if they had wounds, who the players that caused the wounds were. So that's a tool that you can use as an admin to get an idea of what really happened. Like, a player gets killed by somebody and they didn't see who it was. The player was, their identity was concealed or something like that. You as the admin can tell the truth by looking at the deaths board and seeing who they had wounds from. It's actually in FutureMUD it's harder to tell who was the murderer when there's a lot of people that caused wounds. I will say in LabMUD that it would occasionally happen that you would have somebody turn up dead and you'd look at them and they had wounds from like 4 different people, but it would turn out that 3 of those 4 people had just been sparring with them, and and nobody caused the killing blow because they died from some combination of blood loss and other complex effects. But anyway, it's a useful tool to see what's going on. If we wanted to see who that character was, we can use the show command. So show is a command that even players have access to, but it has a significantly expanded repertoire of what you can do with it for admins. So if you just type show, it'll show all the various options you can use. You can probably see there's quite a lot of them. In this case, I'm using that segue to do the show character command. So 469 was the ID of the character that died. So let's have a look at who they were. So show character 469. Oh, Akavur was a mouse, interestingly enough. So NPCs can have names. So this mouse, it was an NPC. It's dead. You can see some of the basic stuff like stats and skills and locations and all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the ways in which you can get information about a character. This is just basic information. So if you see something in the engine that references a character ID and you want to get like an account name or something like that, so what we might actually do is work out work out a character's account. So if we do show characters and use the asterisks and then an account name, we can look at all of the characters. So we'll look at Tulkas, for example, unless you don't want me looking at your character list. Any secret admin PCs or anything like that? I don't know whether you guys are doing admin PCs.
No, no, we're not.
All right, so show characters allows you to search for characters by various criteria. You can use their keywords, you can use the number of days played, you can use their account, etc., etc. In this case, we're searching for Tulkas by his account. There we are. He's ID number 2, not surprising. So if we did show character 2, we're looking at this same basic information about him. We see his account is Tulkas, etc. Various information. All right, so not revealing people's email addresses that probably don't need to be revealed. I'm going to do my own don't send me spam. Yeah, so show account shows you the basic information about their account, their email address, their login, few of the basic settings, their location, etc. Playtime, characters. So then you could, look at the list of who their characters are, and you could see the information about the characters, etc. Show character 15. Yeah. So show is a very useful command. It has so many different options. If you could think of something that's not well covered by another command, show is probably where you should look for it. So and there are some legacy versions of show in there. Like, for example, if you used show race, that was before I made the race editing commands. There was a way to at least look at them. It's not as good as doing the version that's in the race editing command at the moment. But anyway, show useful. So we've talked about some of the basic communication, some of the basic ways to get information about the people that are around you. What about doing some admin things like moving around? Well, go to is probably one of the ones that you need to know about. So go to is how you teleport to different places on the map. So the command is just go to, and you can either do a room number, or you can do a character, or you can there is a special syntax that is often useful if you're pasting building commands, where you can refer to recently created rooms in reverse order of what they were created. So if you have a pasting a script, you create a room, you want to go to the room and then do some building commands or whatever, you can use go to at one. That's one of those little advanced tips. But basically, go to room number or go to name. So and where might you want to go? Well, there is also an interesting command called map. So if you type map, it will actually show you a map of the area that's around you. This is actually built very specifically to look like the map that was in the old SOI engine, which most people probably never saw because not even a lot of admins knew about it. But anyway, we are where this little pink P is on the map, room 290. You can see the rooms and the exits between them, etc. There's a little legend down the bottom of what these things mean. Map is colored differently depending on the terrain types. You can control how they appear on the map by editing the terrains. I can't remember whether that is set up in the Seeder or not. I don't think it is, so it might be something you need to add a little bit of splash color, forests are green, water's blue, etc. But in this case, let's just say we want to go to room 286. So I'll type go to 286, and suddenly I'm across there. People will see the echo of you entering and leaving if you're visible. If you're invisible, they won't see that echo. So other admins will typically see that. Players won't unless you're visible. Now, if we wanted to go back to where we were, and Tulkas is still there, we could type go to Tulkas, if I can type it properly. Oh, no, he's just come back. Oh, he's gone again. All right, now we can go. Yeah, and there we go. So you can go to the most common use for that would be going to a player. You see a player petition about something or think something or whatever, and you need to help them out. You go to the player, or if you know a particular room that you're going to, you want to go to the tavern or you want to go to a clan room or something like that. You will get to know the IDs of your world pretty quickly. There is another way to learn about rooms. And that is the rooms command. If you type rooms, basically you have to either enter a zone that you want to see the rooms for, or you can enter some keywords. So I want to see if these guys have built any taverns. You don't have any secret taverns you don't want me to expose or anything?
No, not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
good.
It's in
So
the works.
so if I type rooms plus tavern, let's see if anything comes up. There are 4 rooms that have tavern either in the description or in the name of the room. So you can see there that the Stars and Stone Inn is room 767. So I'll go there now. So that's one way to search for rooms. You can also show all of the rooms that are in a zone. I've covered what zones and such are in the room building tutorials, so I'm not going to belabor that point. But let's just say we wanted to go to, we wanted to see all of the rooms that are in the Enorian Forest. We can type rooms 6, and it will give us a big list of rooms and names and terrain types and that sort of stuff. So there you go. That's a must be an older command because it's not respecting my Unicode settings, giving the non-Unicode version of the table instead of the Unicode version. Anyway, what other commands do we have for moving around? Oh, moving players around, I suppose, is important from time to time. So if you just stay there, Tulkas, I will
Sure.
leave the tavern.
I'll even go mortal for you.
Oh, you're following me actually.
Oh. All right, there we go.
All right, so I'm somewhere else, and Tulkas has gotten stuck, or I need to transfer him into an out of character area to set him up, or something like that. I can type transfer and then the character name, and it will transfer them to you. It teleports them there. People at the location that they leave will see that they've left the area, which is the same message that people see when people log out, and enters the area is the same that when people log in. So it's sort of safe to use from that perspective, from an in-character perspective. It doesn't give away, it doesn't give away any of the information about the fact that it's an admin command. It could equally have just been him logging on or logging off. But yeah, transfer. Be careful with it because you really want to make sure you're getting the right keywords of people because you can grab the wrong person. So don't be like transfer green because you're trying to get the green-eyed person and then you transfer like the green-skinned. Well, you don't have green-skinned orcs. It's a FutureMUD. What am I talking about? You don't want to get the wrong green-eyed person being transferred. pretty
Just try,
disruptive.
just try and limit your blasphemy here.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. But this is something people might not know, much like Armageddon, because you couldn't do this in the RPI engine. You can chain keywords together. So if I didn't know that Tulkus was called Tulkus, this works with player commands as well, but I could do transfer and his description dreadlocked dot brute dot blood dot red. That picks him up. And if there is more, it's much less likely that you'll get a clash with the keywords if you use more of the keywords from their description. I could have even done like 2 dot if there was more than one. Um, so we've got transfer, we've got go to. You actually saw Tulkus using follow technically. That's a player command, but it's actually really useful from an admin perspective. Follow is kind of like a non-consensual partying up command. So when all it really does is that when that person moves, you will enter the movement command to move in their direction. It's actually kind of how it worked in the RPI engine. For most player circumstances, they should use party. Party is much more fully functional in FutureMUD and has some protections like making the group stop if one person stops and making them be able to help each other drag things and all that kind of stuff. But follow, you don't want to join people's party as an admin and suddenly start helping them drag stuff around or that kind of stuff. So follow is how you sort of follow a player around if you're watching them or doing whatever you need to do. Um, so you might also yeah, there's party, but that's a player thing typically. Yeah, so I would recommend as your admin avatar that you don't join parties. Use follow. Um, Now let's say we want to animate an NPC. Um, we have a few wandering around. Let's go find some. A bloke of solid build. This is actually one of the commands that could trip you up if you're familiar with the RPI engine, because in the RPI engine the command for this was switch, but switch is not the command for that in FutureMUD. Switch is used to interact with levers and switches and that kind of stuff and dials. The command is possess, so um, I'll do it first, and if I possess bloke, uh, basically I take control of that NPC. And so from now on, whatever commands I'm entering are as if I am that NPC. You'll notice immediately I can no longer see my admin avatar because it's invisible. Tulkus isn't at the moment. I start to see the player output for things again because the NPC is not an admin, so it can't see all that sort of stuff. Yeah, if I do a command, I'm doing it as the NPC instead of as my admin avatar. It
You,
also pauses. Oh, sorry.
well, no, you're right. You can also, I can just see that your admin avatar is visible as switched as well, so
Yep.
you can actually see that you're actually animating something else.
Yep. Well, I might do return, which is how you stop possessing something and get you to possess the NPC, so we can see that.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, you can see his admin avatar now has a tag that says that he's switched. I probably should add a tag on the NPC that it says that it's possessed, so that admins can see that something's
Yeah,
being
actually, that would
animated.
be pretty helpful. Yeah, yeah,
I'll put
because
that
you
on the
just never
list.
know.
Put that on the
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
But yeah, that as you can see, he's doing the commands. The NPC is doing the things. That's one of the ways in which you can control NPCs. And when you're possessing an NPC, all of its AI routines are paused. So if you have a wandering NPC, for example, or an NPC that has some other sort of AI routine, like an enforcer or something like that, and you possess them, they will stop doing all of their AI stuff as long as you're possessed. It just pauses it. It doesn't handle the AI at all. So that's good to know, because sometimes we definitely don't want that. Before I added that in, you would possess an NPC and then it would wander off and charge off fighting people and that sort of stuff. You can also, while we're talking about that, you can manually pause AI on um, just in case you need to for some reason. Where is that command? Was it pause? Oh, actually, you have to do it as the NPC. So if I possess that NPC, presuming you're not already in there,
No, I'm out.
yep, and I type if you type commands, you'll actually see that NPCs have a few NPC only commands down the bottom. So they have bodyguard, door guard, enforcer, ignore force, and pause. Um, Probably worth explaining those because these are things that admins will get NPCs to do. Pause was the one I was just talking about. So if I typed pause, it turns off the AI routines, and that will persist even if I return and switch out of this NPC. So I'll explain in a minute how you would do that without switching into the NPC, but you can toggle it again by typing pause. Ignore force means it will ignore the force command, which is one of the ones we're just about to talk about. Enforcer, door guarded, bodyguard are all situational commands that enable certain AI behaviors. So enforcers turn an enforcer AI active, door guards turn a door guard AI active, bodyguard turns a bodyguard AI active, etc. They're things that they typically get forced to do when you want them to start doing what they're doing. Now, force, that was the command I was just talking about. This is a very useful admin command. What it does is it forces the target to do the command that you specify as if they had entered it. They will see the output, so it's not you you don't use this command to force them to do things you don't want them to see, but it'll be as if they had entered it. So for example, if I force Tulkas, say, Japheth is the greatest, you'll see that that's what he said. Um, you typically can't force an admin who is a higher authority level than you to do stuff as well. Yeah, but that's you. But you could force an NPC to pause, ignore force, etc. That's one of the things you can do. You don't have to force just one target. You can force multiple targets. So you can force here, which makes everyone in the room, including yourself, do a particular command. So if I do force here like that, you'll notice all three of us. Actually, I didn't do it. Excluding yourself. Yep. Force here excludes self. You can also make it NPC here to be just the NPCs. Did I misspell that? Maybe that command is not working correctly. You can force everybody in the game to do something. This is something that you would only do on an extremely rare occasion if you needed them to run some sort of command. Uh, what's an example? I
Stopping
only
combat potentially
Yeah,
across the game.
that could possibly be a thing that you would do. Or if, for example, you had a prog that triggered on input that you needed everybody to run to do something or other, that might be something. But let's see, force all. Um, all right, and because it forces everyone in the game, it actually forces you to accept after you do that, and echoes it as a system message. But all the players will shout hurrah in that case. So force is one of the basic commands to get people to do stuff. You can use it on players. Sometimes you might be doing that to help the player with a command that they don't know. They do see, again, they see that you have forced them to do that. Maybe just force me to do something so that we can see that, Torkus. Cool. So you see there that it echoes that he's forced me to do it, and then I do it. So yeah, the players will see that you have forced them to do it. So that's both like a safety measure, so that the player understands that somebody's messing with them, rather than it being a bug or something like that. But it's also a way for you to educate players about syntax and that kind of stuff. You can do stuff without them seeing that it's being done, and that's using the as command. So as is similar to force, except before you do the command, you will temporarily take control of that player's output, and you will release the output after the command is done. So they actually won't see any of the output associated with that command. Um, so if you did, for example, and importantly, you see what they would see. So if I were to say force Tolkus to do the score command, I'm guessing on your screen you just saw your scorecard,
Hmm.
and that I forced you to do it, but I didn't see anything. But if I wanted to look at this is actually a slightly bad example because you can actually use score as an admin to see other people's score, but just for the contrivance of it, if I do as Tolkus score, um, I just saw his score, so I hijacked his output. You didn't see score just then when I typed
No,
that, did you? Yep.
I did see you say that it
Uh,
did say that it's force.
you only see that in that circumstance because you're an admin. So
Ah,
if you
right.
weren't an admin, you wouldn't see that I forced it with as. You would see it with the force one, but not with as.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. So as can be useful for this kind of situation where you want to look at output of commands like score or inventory, or you want to look at something as the player would see it. So if we do as Tulkus look, you're seeing the room as Tulkus would see it. So maybe if you wanted to see whether a player could see an NPC or something that was hidden, you could do something like that. There are some circumstances where you might want to use as. It's an important one to know. Um, there was a command in SOI called at that allowed you to do a command remotely. So you could do at a room and then do a command, and often you would at a room as somebody do something. I haven't implemented in FutureMUD because it is actually a little bit harder to have the player enter and leave the room without stuffing around with some stuff, which is how they did it behind the scenes in the RPI engine. So if you're familiar with the RPI engine, you're wondering where is the at command, it doesn't exist. Just go to the room and do the thing. Yep. Um, okay. Uh, we've talked
It's
about.
also useful doing echoes and that sort of stuff as
Yep,
well. So if you're,
echo
'cause-
is yep. Oh yeah, and actually that was a good thing for at was an echo.
mm,
But yeah, unfortunately in at the moment in FutureMUD you have to go to the location to do the echo rather than
mhm.
doing a remote echo. While we're talking about echoes, as a good segue, there are a few different versions of the echo command. Echo is how you send a miscellaneous echo to the game. There's a few key ones. I think Echo, Echo, P Echo, and Z Echo are the main ones. And if you're familiar with the RPI engine, that syntax should sound familiar to you because it's the same syntax the RPI engine use. Um, so Echo echoes something to everybody in the room. P Echo echoes it to a particular player character. Z Echo echoes it to an entire zone. So in Echo, yep. So there we go. Um, Tulkus has done that echo. You can actually use emote syntax in echo as well. So if I did like, you know, the clouds part and a beam of light narrows on Tulkus with the tilde, uh, you would have seen you in place of your
Mhm.
short description, whereas everyone else will see short description. So same syntax as when players are doing emotes. You can do all of that with all of the versions of the echo command, Z echo, P echo, echo. Um, there's a few other things you can do with it though. I wonder if I have a help file for this. Nope. I do apologize. Some older commands in the engine don't have built-in help files. I'm working on that. Echo is one of them. It is actually almost one of the first commands. Um, so you can also put colors in echoes, and the color syntax would be familiar to people who've used the RPI engine, and I think FutureMUDs in general use that same syntax, but you can see a list of the colors by doing the test color command. Test colors? No, it's test ANSI, that's right. ANSI for ANSI colors. Yeah, so you can see Toolkit's put some custom ones in there. So after each of these colors, you'll see there's a pound key or hashtag or whatever you want to call it, and a number or a letter. It was technically it was a hexadecimal ANSI code. I extended it a little bit to go beyond actual hexadecimal, just because it's free real estate. Just to add orange and pink to the mix. So you can, if you were to do the way you would do that, so seeing it from our side, this echo has, and we're going to do hash E, bold, cyan, color. Don't forget to hash 0 at the end of your color, otherwise you'll bleed color into everything. But you see you can put some custom colors in there. There's lots of different places in the engine that admins have access to where you can put colors in. If you use that same syntax there, the engine will typically replace it. You might need to do trial and error, but I'd say most places that admins can do stuff support custom colors, and most places that players can do it don't, on purpose, so that players don't use the custom colors to impersonate echoes of players doing stuff and that kind of stuff. P echo is similar to echo, except you specify a character. Z echo, you specify a zone. It echoes to everybody in the zone. Echo is one of those things that you will use, moderately frequently in adminning to, do custom echoes for what the players are seeing. Has been a while. It's been nearly 15 years since I've been an admin on a MUD, so
hung up your boots, mate.
Yeah, it has been a while. There is actually some more advanced syntax that goes into some of the echoes as well, but I'm actually going to leave that off the video and commit to making a help file for those things, so you can read about that later.
Sure.
In the help file. All right. So we've looked at echoes. We've looked at moving around. We've got some basic communication. Now let's say that you want to watch a location. That's something you might want to do. Let's go find that tavern again. That was room
West.
767.
East. God.
I'm just going to go there. Admins are lazy. We don't walk places.
True.
Walk is redundant. And you might want to know what's going on at this location at all times. You might have a plot that you're watching or something like that. You want to know what's going on here. What you want to do is use the spy command. So spy allows you to opt in to seeing input at a location that you're not. So the syntax is spy here, and that toggles the location that you're at as being spied upon. You can also use the ID of the room if you want to set it up, and spy list will show you everywhere that you're currently watching. So I'm going to start spying here, and then I'm just going to leave. So if you want to actually say something now at that location.
Yep.
Oh no, you're following me again.
That's all right.
That's all right.
What was it? Room number
767. So there, everyone would have seen that we actually saw a remote echo there. So we're not at Stars and Stone Inn, we're in the storeroom. You see that syntax there shows that this echo is happening at the remote location that we're watching, and we saw it. If we wanted to turn that off, now do something, anything. presuming we haven't seen that, whatever you just did.
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
brilliant YouTubing there. See all the
Yeah.
things you didn't just see. All right.
Yeah. No one
Uh,
will ever know.
yep. So, um, spying is one of the things that we might want to do to keep an eye on people while they're role playing. What else might we want to do when people are role playing? Well, we might want to award them for their role play with role play points. You guys are using role play points in Arda, from what I understand.
And
Um,
build points.
yep. So build points and role play points are what's known as account resources, also sometimes known as karma in Armageddon, for example. Typically used in the engine to gate options, but basically show that you have got your chops, that you can role play and stay in character and all that sort of stuff. The way that you actually give people these resources is the award command and the deduct command. So I am going to award Tulkas for his good roleplay. Can't remember. Yep, it's award a character or account and then the resource. You have to leave a message, so we're going to say good YouTube helping. And did you just see a message that said that you got a role player point on your account?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
So I think if we now do score on him, you'll see that he has one role play point on his account. And there, yeah, there we've seen now what the message is. And you can deduct for bad behavior. So the deduct command is the opposite of the award command. Let's deduct some roleplay points.
Been penalised from proper behaviour.
Yep. Um, so you can award people. That's one of, quite frankly, one of the things that you will do as a roleplay administrator is give people that recognition in line with whatever guidelines your MUD has. People love to get that recognition. It's a really important tool and a really important role, and people hate it when you're using that system and there's no progress on it after a long time. So uh, you can help that along by using the audit command and the full audit command. So audit, you type a resource that you want to look at. So we'll look at role play points in this particular case. That shows you for that resource who's online, how much of it do they have, and when did they last get some. So for both of us, I'll just actually award Tulkas again so we can see something different. So we can see, I have 0, he has 1 when we were last awarded. So you might use this to go, okay, who's online that potentially doesn't have any, that hasn't been awarded in a while. I'm going to invest some time in my evening to sit down and watch their role play and see if they qualify for a point. Or they may have requested a review. Some MUDs permit people to request a review, so that's one of the things. Full audit is a similar command, but it will also show you people who are not online. Audit just shows who's online. Full audit shows you people who are not online. So typing full audit on the same thing, yeah, you see all of the accounts, when they last received an award, and it's ordered in by who has the most. Note that these are all, testing accounts and admin accounts where it doesn't matter at this particular point, so don't pay attention to any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, full audit you might use to say, I'm making a new role that's going to cost 4 roleplay points. How many people would qualify for this, or who would qualify for this, or who's close to qualifying for this, and that helps you, uh, you know, make decisions around that. All right, that's a lot of the basics of echoing and watching people and awarding people. What about making a new uh, actually, no, I'll reframe that. What about some of the basic support tasks that you might do for a player? So, Tulkus, you'll probably remember there comes a point when you've just set up FutureMUD, um, you have your admin account, that the implementer account, and you have your first person create their admin account, and you want to set it up. There's a few steps you have to go through. I wonder if you can remember what the steps are.
Without looking at the Discord, logging into the implementer.
Yep, so somebody's going to be doing this process from an admin account, and typically when you first build the MUD, it's just that first account is the one that has all of the permissions. So from that admin, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to give their account an admin level. So in the engine, we call that authority level, and the command to do that is set authority. So you type set authority, you select the account that you want to give the authority, and you give a particular level to them. So let's see, if you just type set authority in the account name, it'll tell you what the valid options are. It'll only show you the options that are valid for you to give them. So if you're a lower level admin, you may not be able to set some, or you certainly won't be able to set anybody up as a higher level admin than yourself. The implementer will be able to do anything, including setting people up as the implementers. But those are the names of the authority levels that you'll use. So the first thing is giving them an admin level. And then as the command there says, use toggle admin avatar on their character. So you get them to make a character that's their admin avatar. You toggle admin avatar on that character, and then that is an admin avatar, and they can access all the admin commands. And then they have to remember to do the immortal, imwalk, invis, all of those things we did right back at the start of the video. You might also be asked from time to time to reset somebody's password. That's an easy one because the command is just reset password. You will be asked to provide the account. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to actually reset somebody's account here. If you are not the implementer, you cannot set what the new password is. That's a protection against, a malicious admin trying to steal somebody's account. And anybody who's been around the MUD community for long enough knows that from time to time admins do crazy things. The Art of MUD guys seem great, but I started making FutureMUD from a position of defending against people taking the wrong actions, and that is something that actually happened on Shadows of Isildur. Admins changing people's passwords, logging in, doing stuff they shouldn't have, and then changing their passwords back. So reset password. You don't set the new password. It will email the password to the person. It'll automatically generate one. It'll send it to them. If for some reason they've broken their email or that doesn't work, the implementer can set one. But that's the only concession I make to that is that the implementer account, the top admin can set it. So if you find that situation, that's what you need to do. Similarly, registering an account. Most of the time, if you've got your MUD set up to use email, you should get people to just use the email system. When they create an account, it'll ask them to register the account. It'll send a code to their email address, and then they confirm that code to confirm that they own that email address. Pretty typical stuff these days for signing up to something. If you haven't got email set up, or there's some sort of problem, you can manually register an account with the register account command. So that's about registering it and saying the email is correct, not about creating a new account, incidentally. Register account, we've covered that one.
Applications.
Yes, reviewing applications. That's another thing you'll need to do. Now, the applications command can actually be set to be able to be done by players as well. So if you promote an account, when we're looking at set authority, one of the levels is guide. Guides are not technically admins, but if you promote an account to be a guide, they can actually review applications that are flagged for guide level or lower. But the command is applications to see what applications are available. There aren't currently any. I don't think you guys have opened it up yet, have you?
Not yet.
No,
No.
that's coming. But that's where you would see the list of applications, and then you would type application review and then the number of the application, and it would show you the application you can accept or reject. Now, you can reject applications. This is an RPI MUD, so it does have application-based character generation. You can actually configure your MUD to not require an approval below a certain level of authority. So there's certain things on an application that give it a minimum authority to review, like selecting certain roles. You can say if they don't select one of those roles, just automatically approve by the system, and then people can get straight into your game. But there are reasons why you may or may not want to do that. It depends on the MUD. I'm guessing you guys are going to keep applications on because it's on brand for a Tolkien themed MUD. You've got to make sure people are, making in world appropriate stuff, and that's the sort of
Correct.
reason why
Yep.
you would most often reject something, is they've literally created Aragorn or Legolas, or they've created something that doesn't make sense in a Tolkien world. And you can also do applications via the Discord bot. It's actually probably the main way that I ended up doing it on LabMud, because applications come through at all sorts of times, and you often have your phone handy, and you can view the application on your phone and review it and get that person in game without them having to wait for you to get back on the computer. And yeah. Um, okay, starting to actually, while we're still talking about applications, one of the things that happens when you approve a character is the approval message gets logged as an account note. So it's probably worth looking at account notes. So if I look at the account notes for Tulkas, these are, some of them have been generated by the system, some of them have been generated by people doing stuff on them. So uh, there's an approval note, which was when the implementer, I'm going to ask you again before I do this, there's nothing in there that's going to, you haven't given away your secret passwords or something like that in your approval note for your
No.
account. All right.
No.
Note read, and then you type the ID of the note. So let's just start with the approval. Watagala was your approval message when you approved. Yep. And
Yep.
then
Fair enough.
your background comment is also saved. So when people enter their background comment in their character creation, that gets saved as an account note. In this case, it was test, a very, very detailed character. And previously, when we awarded those roleplay points, the messages that we saw got on there. And you can also write manual notes on there as well. So this is typically used to record being real. It's most often used to record observations of bad behavior or investigations and that kind of stuff. But I suppose there are lots of other reasons why you might want to write something on the player's record. These are all things that the player can't see. They're admin only notes, so only other admins can see them. But let's write a note on Tulkas's thing. I think we've got to give it a subject. Very original. All right, it was note 101, so let's read it. There you go. So you can see we wrote a note on his account. Players can also write to their journal, and technically the journal also, when they write to their journal, it makes an account note. So you can see there's a column there that says whether it's a journal entry. So journal entries are put on there by players. Players can see their own journal entries, and And you can also view them as an admin by doing account notes. We talked about some of the earlier we were talking about fighting and forcing people to stop. There's actually while we're here, it's worth talking about that. There's a command to stop fights in the room called peace. If you type peace, it will end combats that are in your current location. They may start again if you have aggressive NPCs that are causing the fighting to begin, but you can just instantly end combats. And with peace, there are a few options. You can actually change it to be permanent as well. So we can say peace permanent here. This location is now permanently peaceful. You see it actually appears now to the admins in the room tags. But if we were to possess one of these NPCs, try and hit the pig-tailed chap, it's too peaceful, so we can't actually start the fight. So you might, there are probably some locations where you would put permanent peace on. I can't think of any that are super obvious, because it's really a location where you just don't want fighting in the engine to occur. Maybe in an out of character area, just in case you're somehow taken in. Oh, actually, no, that's a really good point. Out of character NPC storage. Lots of admins will store NPCs that they use for plots in between plots in like a out of character room. You should absolutely make it a peaceful room in case you accidentally put an aggressive NPC in there and it murders all of your plot NPCs. That's a good reason.
That is a good idea.
Yep. Peace off, we'll remove that. And you can actually put a prog on that as well to say who can and can't fight. So the prog gives you a list of exceptions. So maybe you want to only permit, I don't know, there could be plot reasons. Maybe only people who are got a certain item or something can fight in a particular location. Yeah, I'm sure clever people can think of ways to use that. I suppose while we are talking about peace and out of character NPC storage and that kind of stuff. No, I had a point. It's gone. Where was I going to go with that?
Maybe loading NPCs in an
Ah,
OSC. Yep.
no, actually, because I do show loading NPCs in the NPC video,
True.
but
Yep.
what I might actually show is, let's say that scenario I talked about happened. You had your important plot NPC. Let's just say it's this blue-eyed bloke with light copper skin. You've put him in your admin room, and you accidentally put a warg in there, and the warg has brutally mauled him to death, which we're going to simulate by using the admin kill command. So he is dead now. He's a corpse in this location. Admins can resurrect people. The command to do that is simply resurrect. So if you resurrect the corpse, it will turn that person back to life. And you have to have the corpse to resurrect. I can't remember if there's a override for that, but that's resurrect is really supposed to be used. If getting rid of NPC corpses tends to delete the NPCs anyway, so it's more relevant with the players. But you may occasionally find yourself resurrecting things that have been killed by accident or players that were killed by bugs and all that sort of stuff. An important consideration is that resurrect doesn't do anything to heal them or change them. So let's just say this pigtailed chap had his head severed, which I can do with the sever command. And we'll sever him at the neck. So chopped off his head and he died. If I was to resurrect him right now, he is resurrected for a moment, and then, yep, his health tick, happened, and he went, "Oh shit, I don't have a head, I'm dead." So what you can do all of the admin curing and health commands on corpses. The corpse actually technically behind the scenes has the character in the corpse, like all of its inventory, all of its wounds, all of that sort of stuff. It's just in stasis, so you can still interact with the NPC. So what we would do is we would unsever him before we resurrect him. If he had wounds, we could cure them as well. So the admin command is cure. So we could say cure, cure pigtailed all. All is quite a common one where you just remove all of the wounds. Um, that was an interesting echo. That's the echo when the sun goes down. Admins will see that even when they're not outside, but they'll see that little outside tag on the front of it, whereas players may not see it if they're not in a location that couldn't reasonably see it. Just as a random aside. But anyway, you can cure them, you can sever and unsever them. And now if we resurrect this guy, probably better do it, being as can't forget that we are actually on the actual game here. Can't just leave what's presumably a shopkeeper or an important character. I'll also get rid of that head. Good opportunity to show the purge command. Be very careful with just typing purge, because it will delete everything. In fact, I'm so paranoid about whether it's an old command and whether I've actually got a help file for it. I'm going to go out of the room to do the help file.
If you go to 1, the guest lounge, there's a lot of stuff there that needs to be purged. I'll get rid of this head.
Let's go to 1. So there's a few different ways that the purge command can work, and I noticed it doesn't have a help file, so that's also going on my short-term to-do list. But you can purge an item by a keyword. So you could say, in this particular location, we have a short spear as one of the first items here. Let's do purge short spear. It destroys the item. If we look again, the item's gone. We could also say purge all that's a corpse at this location. And basically what that just did is it took all of the items in the location that had the keyword corpse and it just purged them. This command is irreversible, by the way. It irreversibly deletes things, so be very, very careful. If you just type purge on its own, it will delete everything in the room. Not NPCs though, just items. Now the location is completely clear of items. There are certain things that will not be purged if you just type purge by default. And I think you can also flag items when you're building them to say don't delete this when people do a general location purge.
I think there's a no purge flag
purge,
or something.
yeah. So for example, you might have a no purge flag on like a statue or something that's you're going to load into a room and keep there. And if somebody later purges everything, you don't want to accidentally purge the statue. That's an example. So purge is one way admins can clear rooms, but be very careful with it. As I said, if you delete something, there's no way to get it back. You're just going to have to load something again. We've covered purge. We have health. Health is a player command, so some of you may actually be familiar with it. But when you're in admin mode, health actually does something totally different. So if I health Toolkit here, you see that we get some detailed health information. So you'll see their blood type, the amount of blood they have, their blood alcohol content, their prompt line, what temperature they're feeling, how all their organs are functioning, detailed information about their wounds. So if we just, I don't know, wound brute with sword, give him a few wounds. Oops. I forgot that you were not in admin mode.
I legit just typed it as that happened.
That's right. Well, that's one of the other consequences of not being in admin mode is you can die. So I will resurrect you. but not before I've used you as an example. So we can do health on the corpse, because remember the corpse still has the player in there. You can see that he is dead because he has 0% brain function from that horrifying slash to his brain, basically. But yeah, you can see all of the various wounds there, their current state. The corpse is still bleeding. It'll stop bleeding after a little while. If we wanted to resurrect, we're going to have to cure him first. And then resurrect. Now he's straight away left the area because he's a PC. So when you resurrect a PC rather than an NPC, they will log out, and then he was able to log back in now that his character was resurrected. So there you go. Yeah, becoming immortal. It's very important. Now, we probably should also show a little bit of pathing. That can be useful. So if you just want to go anywhere in town, you stay there, and then I'll go somewhere else. Let's go to 405. Path is a useful command to use the pathfinding mechanism to find where somebody is, like a path from where you currently are. There's a couple of reasons why you might want to do that. It's good for testing the pathfinding AI because it uses the exact same system. So if you want to know from here, can the NPC AI find a path to a location, you can do that, or can they find a player? So in this case, let's see if we can find Tulkas from where we are. So it's found a path. It actually gives you two options, whether you're ignoring doors or whether you're including doors that your character could conceivably open, including whether you have a key or whether you could nod to a guard. In this case, they're the same outcome, but it gives you the list of directions that you need to go in order to get to that location. Although it seems like it has, wonder about that. North. Yeah, I'm a little bit suspicious about that path that it's given us.
Yes. I can try and get closer to you. I'll just
Hang
go
on.
to you and then.
No, stay where you are. I want to see whether actually think you guys have a, yeah, there we go. Yep, we found you. The path was correct, as it turned out. That was the path to follow, but you actually have a slight misalignment of your world grid. I think there's some multiple exits that are connecting to the same rooms. Anyway,
Right.
one for the builders. I'll flag that one.
Yeah,
We'll do a
if you could, that'd
simpler
be great.
example. Yeah, see, that's, yeah. Now we're just a couple of rooms away. We can see the path. So path's useful to know. You might want to, let's see. That's probably what we want to know about paths and that sort of stuff. While we're still vaguely on the topic of health related stuff, there's two commands I forgot to mention. Sober. Let's sober up Tulkas. Sober will get rid of any drugs in their system, and it will also reset their alcohol back to 0. So a useful command if you need to do that. And there's also another one. The command is actually called exsanguinate, but you can use it to, you basically use it to set the current blood percentage of a character. So if you, and it can be higher than it currently is. So that's one of the ways you can give blood back to people if they've lost it as an admin command. You can also give them an infection. Let's infect body part on Tulkas. So you've actually got an infection now on the back of your neck, interestingly. So infections in this engine actually use a system kind of similar to what RimWorld does, if anybody's familiar with that. So basically, the infection has an intensity that will grow over time, and you'll also get an immunity, which will be determined by things like your constitution score, for example. And you'll start to get penalties as your intensity gets higher, but it'll be offset by your immunity. And when you get to immunity 100, the infection is basically beaten and will go away. But in the meantime, it can actually spread to other body parts or wounds and all that sort of stuff. So we'll let that little infection simmer away on Tulkas. Um, okay, there's probably only a few. This is starting to get to be a really long video.
Mm.
But there are still a couple of important ones. We haven't even really touched on some of the things like loading items and all that sort of stuff, but I think I'm going to leave those for right now, not least of which because Robot Jesus recently pointed out a bug with load liquid that will crash the game. So far, we've managed to do this whole video without any crashes, so that's amazing. Um, so I might just show as a last hurrah, unless there's anything that particularly stands out to you that we haven't discussed.
I'm just looking at the in commands. It
Yep.
looks like you've covered a lot of them. Yeah, there's nothing else that I can really
Yep.
point out that is really that
Yeah.
important.
There are probably a few that people need to know, like set attribute, characteristic, height, set weight, etc. Those are how you manually set those things on players. If for example, a character wants to change their weight or their height, or you want to change that on an NPC or something like that, I think they're fairly self-explanatory. Um, uh, yeah, I'm probably going to leave it at that for now, then, I suppose. Oh, actually, no, there is one very important uh, admin command. Actually, I'm going to throw three more commands I just realized I didn't cover. Then we'll finish on that. So the first one is the effects command. Effects is actually useful for seeing what effects are on a person. So if we look at Tolkis, for example, we can see that he has Imwalk, he's hearing people's thoughts, he has actually improved his Mordorian accent recently. He's currently at normal temperature for his body, and he has admin sight on, and he has not been shown any new player hints. Um, you can also remove effects using this command, so this can occasionally be useful if somebody has an effect on them you don't want. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are examples. In this particular case, let's just remove his imwalk. So we'll effect remove Tolkus 2. So he's no longer imwalking. So we can see that by, yep. So sometimes it's important to know what effects people have on them. You can also use a debug command called sniff. Now sniff lets you get this is probably something you don't need to do all that often, but sometimes when you're trying to find problems, this is a command you might use. So you can sniff rooms, directions, items, and characters. So in this case, let's use it on Tolkus. You can see that you get some information about them, whether they're helpless, their current states, what breathing model they're using, things like whether they've set up burdens, advantages, the buoyancy of their inventory, which helps determine whether they'll float or sink, their effects, any hooks that are on them, which are hooks are things that are basically like custom commands that you can make, and then all of the variables that can be accessed from within progs that relate to characters and what their current value is on that character. So that's one of the things You can also use it on rooms. Um, yeah, there's reasons why you would use this to look for, effects, variables, sometimes for debug things. Uh, and while we're on that topic, there is also a command called debug, which has a couple of routines that you may want to use. Now, you see when you type the help thing for that, um, it gives you a red warning that says you should be very careful about using the commands in this module, which is true. Some of the commands in this module, and I'm not even sure if I can do this command. No, I can't, because I'm not the implementer account, but the implementer has a version of debug called imp debug, which has some even more unsafe commands. I sometimes use imp debug to test new things, to make commands that really I only intend to use on my own testing. But the admin debug stuff is really just stuff that should be used cautiously. Um, so, for example, um, there's a debug dead and a debug save. Those were added at various times uh, to look for bugs that were happening at the time, with the save queue not being available, or the there was a weird bug with characters dying but then still moving. Aggressive NPCs would basically turn into ghosts and walk around and attack people. That doesn't happen anymore, so those commands are kind of useless, but we might use them one day if we ever run into something like that again. Debug mode will mean that you start receiving debug echoes. Often that is things like problems in progs. They typically echo to the console or to a Discord channel that is set, but they don't echo to admins because it could get quite spammy, but you can opt into that if you're trying to debug some prog stuff. Debug update actually automatically downloads the latest patch for the game, and then when you shut down the game, that's one we didn't talk about, shutdown can restart the game or turn it off. But debug update will download the latest patch, and then once it's done, you can shut down and apply the patch. You don't need to do it manually or log into your thing anymore. Did uh, Malk out of the job, who has been supporting quite a lot of the people's attempts to get FutureMUDs up and going, including Arda, a great guy. But yes, don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
made the command to replace him. Just joking. He's a great guy. Coordinates is one that you will run from time to time. It actually recalculates all of the XYZ coordinates in the zone, so they don't get calculated automatically. But once you're sort of done building your first areas, you might want to do that every once in a while. Yeah, it's uh, useful. I think I'm going to leave it there. So I think we've covered quite a lot of ground. Hopefully, we have shown people some, um, a pretty broad overview. That's not all of the commands that are available by any stretch, and not even all of the ones that you might need to know from time to time. But it should get people started. Um, any final thoughts before we wrap up, or want to say anything, a final promo about Harder?
Yeah, look, we like I said, we've been working Artemard for quite a while now, and we're at a spot now where we're confident that people are going to be able to come on here and enjoy, including yourself.
Yep,
Uh, we're
looking
hoping you can
forward
come
to it.
along and yeah, and have a look around and see what we've created.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully the engine holds up, but who knows, mate? It was pretty dodgy. No, we're really looking forward to it. So
Yep.
keep your eyes peeled. We'll try and do some plugging and get some visibility up shortly.
Yep.
We have got a website up, which you probably likely see if anyone's interested in the near future.
Excellent. And if people want to know more, where should they go looking?
We have a Discord, which we can. I mean, if you want to put the link on your
Video?
YouTube video, you're more than welcome. Yeah,
Yep.
and we'll give you the website as well. Why not?
Sounds great. Look in the link. I've always wanted to say this as a YouTuber. Links in the description down below. Don't
You
forget
could
to
even,
like and subscribe and hit that bell notification.
you could all, if you were smart enough, you'd be able to put it in the little box that pops up as well.
We'll see. I'll try my very best. All right.
Good on you,
Well,
mate.
thank you very much for your time this evening and all of the work that you guys have done on Artemata. I'm very excited to be finally in the position to making the video that shows you how to administer the game rather than just build it. And best of luck. Thank you to all of our listeners, and see you next time.
Thanks, mate.